And hello, everybody. Thanks again for giving us some time out of your busy work week. We appreciate you joining us today. As Alex alluded to, my name is Taylor Mocade. I'm the account exec here at Outbuild, based in East Texas. I've been in construction tech for a little over 13 years, and 3 of those have been here at Outbuild. And with me, the star of the show today really is Lorri Grayson. Lorri is a partner and founder of GGA, a powerhouse in the Mid-Atlantic. Lorri, I'd love for you to do a quick introduction about yourself and the company, if you don't mind.
Yeah, thank you. Well, first, I want to thank you, Taylor and Alex, for inviting me to take part in this, because I do have a lot to say about your particular scheduling platform. But I want to tell you a little bit about myself. I am our GGA Construction. We are general contractors and construction managers here in Delaware. We have 2 offices, one in the northern part of Delaware, one in the southern part. Delaware is a small state, so we are able to visit other states to do some work. We include Maryland, Pennsylvania, and New Jersey. And we specialize in healthcare, institutional. We do a lot of student housing projects at the University of Delaware. We also do a lot of hotel projects in the hospitality industry. And currently, multifamily right now in our area is pretty hot. So those are sort of the markets that we service. We have been in business for 20 years. I'm happy to say that. Also, I have the privilege of serving as the Mid-Atlantic Regional Vice Chair for Associated Builders and Contractors. I'm also the board liaison for the Construction Technology and Innovation Committee. It sounds like a lot of things, but I really want to highlight the fact that being the liaison on the tech committee for ABC gave me a lot of, I'm going to say, insider information about Outbuild. So I will be happy to sort of share about that later.
Absolutely. And we love having that background, the exposure. We're excited to get to talk with you today. And again, that really will be really the meat and potatoes of what we're covering. We do have a quick overview on Outbuild. We'll spend a few minutes kind of talking through what Outbuild is at a high level. They pay the bills, so we got to do a little bit of plug there, but the remainder of that will be really centered around you and your process and how GGA went about evaluating technology solutions. So looking forward to getting into it with you today. So right there on your screen is exactly what we've seen across the industry. Outbuild set out years ago to solve one in particular problem, which is companies struggling with outdated, disconnected solutions that were never really intended to help manage contract schedules and field coordination. And, you know, that process today in a lot of companies looks very similar to what you see on your screen. We're using, you know, P6, MS Project, something to that effect for a contract schedule. And then field coordination is totally separate and disparate from that. We're using sticky notes, Excel sheets, whatever we can get our hands on to really coordinate, to align, to collaborate, and at the end of the day, try to get buy-in with our field teams. Inevitably, we got to go back and update that schedule and make sure that we hit those pay apps on a monthly basis. So we spend a lot of time duplicating the process, trying to make dates and numbers match up across different segments. And all that information does not flow seamlessly in the workflow that we have today, which creates inefficiencies, misalignment, rework, delays, all the ugly words that we want to avoid on a project. The way Outbuild solves this is by providing a one-stop solution that provides everything from a contract schedule standpoint, made for construction, web-based, easy to use, unlimited projects and users to invite to work with you. And then at the same time, having a connected but separate look ahead that our field teams can really dive into. And that's kind of the heartbeat of the project, right? We need that pulse of what's really going on. And it lets them take that milestone schedule and really get into the detail. And I like to say it's kind of how the sausage gets made at the end of the day, right? We got to get into that nitty gritty at some point. The nice thing too about having that web-based solution that's unlimited users means that we can collaborate with all of our partners. That's all the stakeholders that need to be involved, that a lot of times are getting a PDF or an outdated version of a schedule or a look ahead. And so there's kind of some misalignment and mishandoffs that occur in that process that can create schedule compression and delays and issues if we don't have everyone connected using the same information at the exact same time. That collaboration allows us to get more eyes on the plan. The more eyes, the better. They can't change your schedule. That's still nice and still up top, but below the surface, we're collaborating, we're coordinating, we're identifying roadblocks and constraints to try to avoid those oh crap moments that inevitably pop up on every project. So if we can be a little bit more proactive together, it means we're more likely to manage those delays effectively. A big part of this with Outbuild too is that flow of information, right? We think that that integration is key to make sure that that data is available in any facet and capacity that you need it. And in doing such, we've integrated into Procore, connecting submittals and RFIs and a one-click schedule sync into that project management solution. Autodesk is the same way, and we continue to expand out that integration to ensure that you guys have collaboration, coordination, and aren't segmented to a one siloed solution that's kind of disparate from the rest of the project team. And a big part of this is our success team. Again, we pride ourselves on being a lasting partner for our companies. We don't look at that as just a catchy thing to put on a presentation. It really is a relationship that we try to build, to foster, and to continue to support, because we get better together, right? It's the same kind of all-in mentality of, if we can get better with you guys, raising the industry, raising the solution, working out the kinks, and making sure that everybody has what they need to be effective at their project level, then we're all the better for it. Our support team takes that full front. We have live support baked into the tool, people available to you guys when you need it, questions are getting answered, and you have somebody there every step of the way, really making sure that you guys get the adoption that you need. And with that being said, I'd really like to kick it over to you, Lorri. I know everyone's tired of hearing me talk, so I think the less I talk, the better. Talk to me a little bit about what your role was in evaluating Outbuild. Do you mind kind of sharing the starting or the impetus of this?
Well, I mean, I'm just going to tell you that I have been waiting a lot of years for something like this to come along. I feel like there's always been a disconnect between what happens in the field, what happens with the project managers. At least in our company, the project manager does the schedule we use Microsoft Project. And then out in the field, we have our superintendents who are using various methods of doing their 2-week look ahead a lot. Some use whiteboards, some actually do use Microsoft Project, some actually use Excel, surprisingly. So you try to take that data and from the field and incorporate it into the master schedule that the project manager has. I always feel like there is a huge disconnection between the field and the master schedule and the project management team. And what most importantly to me, I have always felt like there is a need to capture the pre-construction activities that absolutely drive the schedule to the end. And I feel like there's never been any accountability where this is concerned. And, I remember we used Procore, and I remember when we first adopted Procore, it was, finally there's an accountability with every team member where you can see, okay, well, the ball's in that person's court, and you could see all the items that are open. Let's just talk about submittals, for instance. Mm-hmm. So you're waiting on a submittal to come back, and it's very critical that you get that submittal returned in 2 weeks. So every moment that goes by the 2-week deadline, well, that pushes out the end date of your schedule. So let's say you have a really tight schedule. We do a lot of student housing projects and a lot of school projects that have an end date that has to, if you don't make that date, they don't go to school that year, right? Or they have to get temporary housing and things like that. So I'm telling you, that upfront information being integrated into the project schedule so everybody can see it, I feel like that is game changing. And I'm just going to tell you that when I first heard about Outbuild and that you had the ability to tag some of those items directly to Procore, because it does integrate with Procore. We actually are using it now, and you can tag the things that will be, well, you can tell what's going to be what I would call a roadblock. Mm-hmm. You're only a week away, or you're 3 days away from that submittal arriving. You already know, like, okay, we're starting to panic here. And if you don't have the ability to look ahead and understand to make the adjustments ahead of time, then you're always reactionary. And here's the big thing. You're on a large project, takes a year to complete. Well, guess what? When you're coming to the end of the project and you're feeling like, are we going to make it? Is the schedule going to be met? Your owner's getting a little anxious. Well, nobody's remembering back from the very beginning of the project that, remember, we started 6 weeks late because of X, Y, and Z that we can all see on that schedule. Oh, and by the way, we've all had access to it. It's super collaborative. I feel like I wish I thought of it, because I think it's a really great, I can tell you for years I've been saying, why can't we find some way to hold those folks accountable? Not just randomly making up a date that we waited an extra 3 weeks for X, Y, and Z. You actually can tag that to an activity that actually has a real time and a real date in it. So that's my number one reason why I wanted this. And when I was an easy sell because I've been waiting for something like this. So I think I'm probably the perfect person to say, if you are making this decision, right, it's going to be a disruption to your organization. So you have to really think about, if you jump all in and you're going to switch, you're making every single person in your organization learn a new program, a new software package. Well, I can tell you, luckily, I hope you don't mind, I'm just kind of going to jump in and say, I felt like when I first heard about this particular product, this particular platform, the first thing that I thought about was this. Our whole entire company, all the employees spread out over 3 states, 2 different offices, we are all going to be learning the exact same program at the exact same moment. And when I heard about that, I'm a business owner, I thought, you know what? That's going to make us better. We're going to become a better company because we're all invested in this particular platform. And I really do think, like I said before, I think it's game changing. And I can tell you, just yesterday, we were closing out a project and we had some team members that didn't remember the amount of time we spent in the beginning doing some shoring and some other things that we had to do that were unexpected.
Mm.
And it's horrible to be in that position where you have to go back and remind somebody, instead of all along you can see it in the project schedule in real time. I wish we had this program a year and a half ago. I would have been in a totally different situation today. So do I think it has a lot of value? Absolutely. And I think the fact that it's collaborative and it's transparent, like I said, I wish I had thought of it.
I
Yeah,
hear
'cause
you.
I'd be on your side, Taylor, asking the questions. But yes, and I think it's easy to onboard. So, we all have bought in on it. I feel like it's been, one of the best decisions we've made. And like I said, I've been waiting for something like this to come along. And so I want to tell you guys, like, thank you you didn't even know that was a need we had, but it is a need we have, and you've absolutely filled it. So.
No, and we can't thank you enough for the partnership. That means the world to us to hear that, and it's had that positive, lasting impression on you guys as far as just making that shift from being reactive to more proactive as a team, right? And the fact that you kind of identify, and if I'm hearing you correctly, it's more of a culture shift as a company, right? You guys are changing the mentality of how we work together and how that communication should be streamlined across all the teams, not just one project or one individual.
Exactly right.
How did you
And
prioritize this? Oh, go ahead. I'm
well,
sorry.
how did we prioritize it? Because it's, if you're in the industry and you work with Microsoft projects, and I know some people are very, very good at it and they have interfaces between, I know, a lot of some colleagues of mine, we've had this conversation has been going on, for a while. So how do you make that decision? I think you have to really see the value that technology is going to, make you more efficient. It's going to make us, I don't want to have mistakes happen. I want to have a project that is, high performing. I want our team to be high performing. And I feel like sometimes you need that technology. I feel like that piece was missing. And now that we actually have that to add to our whole, like project delivery system, I think it makes a huge difference. We're already, using it. And I can tell you, it's already making a difference. So yeah, I feel, very thankful, I should say.
And we're happy to hear that, and it's exciting to see not only where we're at today, but where we're going to be a year from now, 10 years down the road together. So we're looking forward to that. When you guys were going through that process, was there specific criteria or needs that you kind of identified across GGA that you said this is really what we want to ensure a tech solution would have for us?
Yeah, well, I think I'll go back to the field, and I think when you when you first introduce something like that, some of the when you're in the field, it's sort of their kingdom, right? So you've got your superintendent, and it's sort of his world out there, and especially some of the people that have a lot more experience, and they've been successful in doing things the way they've always done them, and I think that you have to really consider that. But we feel like because we had so many variations on every project, it is challenging to have, something that is across the board the same, and sort of, gives us a chance to evaluate each project's health based on, what's going on in the field. So, I will tell you in the beginning, I was a little concerned. How are you going to get some of these folks that are not as savvy on technology? How are you going to get them to buy in and actually use it? That was our biggest concern. I will tell you though that I had one of your we're somebody who's helping us on board from Outbuild. She said, I've worked with people that have hardly any skills in technology, and they are some of the best ones that use it. So when she told me that, I was like, okay, I'd really like to see this happen. But, believe it or not, they, I have to say, so far, so good. And, they only get better at it, the more they use it and the more comfortable they get with it. And then I think they can see they're actually now getting their concerns met by the project management team that might not be in the field all the time. I feel like they feel like that need is being met. And I think they feel like it's more collaborative, because it absolutely is. And now it's in real time. You can log in at any moment. And I do want to say one more reason why we decided on this program is like the icing, I guess, on the cake. When you log in as a administrator or an owner, you immediately get your dashboard that shows all the open projects that you have. So let's say I have 30 projects I want to look at. I actually can see them all in one place at one time. So it's very easy to see the projects that might look like, they might need a little help out there. It looks like they're slipping a little bit. Instead of waiting for them to call or there be a problem, it is a great tool to sort of be able to identify the certain projects that, would need a little more attention before it gets to be, sort of a little require more of a solution.
Yeah.
And I like that, because before every other week, we'd have every project manager send their, schedule, and then we try to put them all together. Are they on time? But how do you really know if they're on time? And did they just update it? Did they update it 2 weeks ago? They do it the last second because I have a meeting coming up. Now it's in real time. And I think that particular function is, that's the icing on the cake for me.
And by the time you got all those spreadsheets and schedules put together and made sense of it, that was all outdated information anyways, and everything had moved 100 times since then.
Correct. And it's not collaborative. So you don't have all these folks, you've got your whole project team now looking at it. It's not just the project manager showing or at the project meeting, distributing it and talking about it. It absolutely is something you're not going to be surprised about. You can log in on, Outbuild and see where you are. And the owners can too. Like, it's not like, oh, I didn't know that this week we were going to be in this position. Well, yes, you can log in, and trust me, they know how to use Procore. They absolutely can use Outbuild.
Yeah.
I've talked to a couple other general contractors who don't use Procore. I still think, because even if you use it independently of integrating with another platform, it still gives you that dashboard, that the collaboration between project team members, and I think that still has that same value. But definitely, if you can link it to Procore, I think that just gives you all the more power.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. There's more horsepower there, but by kind of, as you mentioned, there's really no need to have that integration, right? The biggest thing is connecting your field and office teams. If we can do that, and we're on the right direction, and everything after that's all gravy. You reminded me of a quote I heard from a general superintendent, a longtime friend and partner of ours, but he said, "Bad news isn't bad news if you catch it early enough." And with Outbuild, it sounds like you guys have certainly been able to keep your eye on the ball a little bit closer. What would you say to a contractor evaluating Outbuild right now that has that hesitation? Because I'll be honest with you, I think that's probably the number one thing we hear on the sales side of this is, will my field teams adopt it? Are they going to use it? Am I going to get the buy-in that I'm looking for? And I'm sure it sounded like you had very similar concerns starting out. I mean, how are your field teams gravitating towards it? What's kind of been your thought on that?
Well, I think that is a really good question, because, it does take a leap of faith, almost saying, okay, like I said, it's a big disruption. There is a cost associated with it, which I will say we include in our general conditions, just like we do with Procore. And I don't see that as a cost incurred, because it absolutely is like a direct reimbursable for each project. So that was not one of my biggest concerns. Obviously, price always is a concern, but I think that the ability for your non-tech savvy folks to have the buy-in and to be able to use it and feel successful with it, right? You don't want you don't want anybody feeling like they're not contributing, or I liked it better before, and you want all your project team members to be successful. So I was worried about that. I'm not going to lie. And
Yeah.
then I was going to say, because I'm on the Tech Alliance, the tech committee, and I did ask around, and I did a lot of research. All right, so I asked around. So remember, I have access to people all over the United States that are on this committee. Does anybody have any, negative thing about? I'm thinking about integrating it. I think we're going to adopt it. And I, believe it or not, I couldn't find one person that said anything negative. I think the word that someone used was, only stellar remarks. And so that was enough for me, because now I'm like giving a lot of folks a lot of, an opportunity to tell me, have they used it? Have they tried it? So I did my research, and then I had to, we have a management team, and we all got together and decided, okay, we knew the features were, that's an easy sell, right? Because I just told you why I think it's so great. But can we adopt it, and can we get our people to be on board? That was my biggest concern. So we did a little bit of a, you gave us a trial. We shot that out to a couple of our more tech savvy folks, and they absolutely loved it. Of course, I will tell you that if you have that generation who loves technology, they will absolutely think this is the best thing, because they'll think Microsoft Project is outdated or whatever. It's just very user and very intuitive as far as and very user friendly. That's what they all said. They loved it. So we, like I said, we gave it we had our test pancake. We had on our largest project, and they all loved it. So that's all I needed to hear. So it wasn't like I just sort of sat around, are we going to make this decision or not? Obviously,
Yeah. You took
I
that
was
leap
going
of
to make
faith
sure,
and tried it. Yep.
because I don't want anybody hating me, right? Like, oh, it was Lori's idea. She said we had to do this. And now every time they see me, they're like, oh, she's going to ask me about, Outbuild. Like, I don't want to be that person. I like being like the person that's liked in the office.
Here comes Lorri with another tech tool for us to trial out.
Exactly. Here she comes again. She's going to ask if we're using it. So,
People are avoiding eye contact in the hallway now. And I love that you poked around, you did your due diligence, you asked around, and that reputation is so critical, especially in our industry, right? Your reputation is all you have. It's how we get repeat customers, it's how we keep owners happy and win more work. But it's great that you were able to use that expansive network through the ABC channels, ask around, and have those conversations candidly about, is this the right move for us? Are we going to be able to see the return on investment that we hope to see? Getting in kind of the nitty gritty of this process too. I mean, who needs to get involved in your mindset when you guys start these evaluations of new technology?
Well, I think that's where you have to really, like I said, we asked our project managers, how they felt. They were, look, everybody is going to tell you the exact same thing I just told you. If you get your project managers and together and say, how do you feel like you're doing, integrating your field, reports, and there too, we look ahead to your project schedule. Oh, I called and asked for it, and they didn't give it to me, or I went out in the job trailer and he wasn't finished, or he didn't have a moment to talk with me about it because he was too busy. Everybody's got those same issues. So that, I think, if you just did, like I just did a survey, just called them up, asked them, especially a couple of key projects that I knew 100% sure it would help us on. And then, as a as your project executive, so I checked in with them. But even if you're a smaller general contractor, I think you can still see the value, because I'm just going to guess that most folks have the same issues that we have. I don't think there's anything unique about our company. I think we all share the same. That's a great thing about Associated Builders and Contractors. I can tell you for a fact, I can talk to somebody in California, Texas, Tennessee, even New York, and they'll all tell you the same thing. We all have the same issues. So that's what's so great about having the ability to share our experiences, so you don't feel like you're an island out there, because making a technology change, like I said, it is disruptive and it does take a buy-in. Everybody has to feel like this is great and it's going to move us forward. It's going to make us smarter. It's going to make us better. It's going to make us, deliver a better project in the end. That's going to be, I like the transparency, and those are the things that I thought about. And so, yeah, and then we voted on it. It was certainly not a hard sell.
So, yeah. So it sounds like kind of more of a wide cast net, a survey to get others looped in. Then you tapped a few individuals, that larger project that you mentioned, to really be the test, kind of the guinea pig in this scenario to give it a test run. And you're kind of starting with, the why, right? And that's really what we champion on the success side of our team is why are we making this transition? That why is so powerful to win adoption, to get superintendents and field teams motivated to use a new tool. Because they're not going to adopt just because we tell them to. They're going to adopt because it helps them, right? If they can save hours out of their week, if they can hold subs, designs, owners accountable for things they need to keep that bus moving and keep the light green, there's power in that. And I think that's really where Outbuild shines, in my opinion, at least. And it sounds like it's been the same for your experience of getting that field adoption where we need it. What about, any hurdles that you guys overcame in that evaluation? Was there anything that kind of caught you off guard, or anything that jumps out to you?
Well, I did, want to just comment on the support that you offer, because, in the beginning, I felt like, well, we'll probably have a lot of questions. We'll probably need a lot of, ability to contact you and ask, for your help on a certain things. And I will say that you guys have been really great on that particular. I'm sure it's part of your business strategy. It's got to be, because I think that you absolutely shine in that moment. We've had, the person that you've assigned to us, she is always available. We've even asked her, could you, we had a couple little, maybe say one-offs. Could you help us do X, Y, and Z? And she said, absolutely. I'll go back to my team and see if I can build a patch for that. Or maybe that's not quite exactly the right word, but she did come back and within like a couple of days and said, yes, we talked about it. This is what we can do. And actually did a quick little tutorial with that one particular project team. So yes, I feel like that was another one of my biggest concerns was, what kind of support are we going to get?
Yeah.
And I really felt like, since you guys are somewhat new in the marketplace, that I'm like, okay, we need to get in here early, and they'll probably, give us a lot of attention because, we're sort of new, as a customer. And yeah, I was absolutely right on that. So
Yeah, no, and you're hitting it dead on. It's certainly part of our business strategy, but it's really part of our culture. It's ingrained in a desire to help and to ensure that teams have the support they need to be successful. So we feel like if we give you the best of our teams, it's only going to reflect in the way that your teams utilize it and move forward. So I'm glad that you called that out, because we really do take a lot of pride in the success team and the work they do, and even our product team, right? The ability to make changes, to correct things, to find better ways to go about the process. We're a nimble pirate ship, as we like to say it. So we're navigating these waters as a team, looking for input from the industry to ensure that we're building the right tools the right way. I got a question for you. I want to kind of pivot this from a perspective standpoint. Maybe you're a PM out there, maybe you're a superintendent in the field, and you're seeing value in this. You think there's potential there. How would you, as one of these members, approach an executive like yourself and broach that conversation of, we want to evaluate this, we want to initiate that conversation? What advice or what strategies would you give them?
Well, I mean, obviously I would start with the the challenges that you're experiencing as far as scheduling goes. And okay, so if one of my employees comes to me with, an ask, like we would like to, buy this particular product, or institute this particular change. I always like to know, what the solution would be. So if, someone came in my office and was presenting Outbuild, I would absolutely have a lot of questions like, well, tell me why you think we need it. And I think if you have the, well, these are the whys, and this is how it's going to fix it. And it can, absolutely change the way we do business and change the way we collaborate and change our project delivery system. I feel like that, that would be, enough for me to certainly dive in and, explore that, because I would want to know. And the second thing is, most companies, we want to be on the right end of technology, right? I want to be out in front. I want to be the one that says, our company uses this and it makes us better, and here's why we can add more value to your project. Look, we all do the same thing. We all use the same subs, right? What makes your company different than the company down the street if we're going for the same project? And I like to have things like this that I can present, because sometimes you only get an hour to sort of
Sure.
grab an inner, in a presentation. I think this is one of those keys and one of those tools that you can say, and this is what we do different. We actually have a scheduling program that, is now accountable across, the whole project team, and you're going to have an opportunity to see how your schedule is, going throughout the whole project.
Yeah.
That is huge. You know how many owners would love to know that? Like
Absolutely.
that's
Yeah.
their biggest thing. When's it going to get done? When are you going to finish? Are you on time? Really? I mean, all those things you absolutely could say, well,
Yeah.
let's open up Outbuild and let's look at the schedule and discuss it, right? I think
And
those
they'll
are
remember that forever, right? The fact that they sat with a GGA project and they had real-time access to see the progress and where things were on track and things may have been falling behind and where they could support or where their decisions may have been holding up the project versus I can give you a file once a month that's probably been updated in the last couple of weeks, more or less. Like that's
right.
a little bit different of a conversation. So,
And who even knows if it's accurate? Does it show when the materials are coming? Oh, we're going to get a
yeah.
delivery. Oh, by the way, now there's a tariff and there's a delay on getting the electrical gear from China, wherever it's coming from. Those kind of things you can import in the schedule, and it actually has like a little tag you can click on and tells you the reason why that happened. Because look, 6 months go by, can you even remember what happened 2 weeks ago?
No,
So now you can go back and all your notes are sort of embedded in there. It's got a lot of power, and we are still new at this, but we all now are getting a little a little more sophisticated, I guess you could say, at using it. And I think we're just starting, and talk to me in a year and I can tell you how it really has changed us, because I really do feel like it's game changing for us.
and that's what we love to hear. We won't go a year without talking to you, so don't worry about that. But it's yeah, it's good to know we're on the right track, and we're excited to see as that momentum gains and you guys continue to gain steam and traction with it. It's going to be, I think, critical to your winning future work, but also how those projects run and the success of those jobs.
And I'm hoping none of my competition's listening to this. So they can say,
Yeah, earmuffs.
I don't know. Like, did I just? No, I'm teasing.
Well, you're ahead of the game, right? They still haven't adopted and signed up, so
Yes,
you're still leading the charge, right? You're out in front.
that's it.
They're chasing your heels. Well, this has been an awesome conversation. I could do this all day, quite honestly, with you, but I know we're up on time, and I don't want to eat into your work week, nor do I want to keep anybody else that's on the call today. So I'll kind of let you have the parting word here. We appreciate the time. We appreciate the partnership. We're so excited to see what Outbuild and GGA can do together. But I'd love for you to kind of just share your closing thoughts and anybody who's hesitant about taking a demo or talking to us.
Well, if I'll end saying this, I wish someone had brought this to my attention. Like I said, if it had been a year ago, I wish I was could go back and tell myself a year ago, this is something that can definitely change our company in a positive way. So, I would encourage anybody who is in this situation. This is certainly, I think, a tool that merits, a consideration, just because I do believe it's, well, obviously I wouldn't be having this conversation with you if I didn't truly believe in it. And I think there's a lot of power here. And I think you guys are just getting going. I think there'll be, as you've got a great team, developing your product, not just saying, okay, this is it, and we're not moving forward, because I do know that you are always working to make things better. I like that. I want to be a part of somebody who's looking to make our industry better, and I feel like that is something that merits at least a consideration. How about I say that?
Well,
And I want to thank you for having me.
yeah,
It's been
absolutely.
fun, and yeah, I hope if I can help someone's company be better, that would make me pretty happy. But just don't call me. I don't. I'm teasing to say, oh, like bust on me about it. But I do think that it's, I feel confident enough to say that certainly it's worth considering. And I wish you guys the best of luck, and I hope you'll remember us.
All right.
And yeah, in the future.
We're in this in the long haul together, and we're excited about it. So thanks again for the time. I appreciate it. You've been awesome. I hope everyone else at home and on the job site got something out of today. And thanks again for joining us. And Lorri, I wish you and the team all the best. I hope you have a good rest of the week here.
Appreciate it.